We are live. I'm going to wait just a moment, and since we are streaming this live, wait and see if we can let people jump on so that they can catch this message tonight. In the meantime, I'm going to hydrate because as it's getting cooler, the warm air is blowing out and it makes everything dry. Okay, so I titled this Mommy Made Over, but what I really want to talk about is your story matters and why, if you don't think that your story matters, that it really does. And I never used to think that my story mattered either until I found some opportunities and things that dramatically shifted the way that I think. And I am here tonight to talk to you more about that, about how you can make over yourself and how this really can change your life. And this isn't just a business opportunity. This is really just a life opportunity and how to take advantage of your life and how to just be a better person in general. So for those of you who may not know me, my name is Kyla and I'm a fitness coach and I am a mom of two and I love coffee and I love wine and I'm kind of a mix between half hippie, half bohemian style. I'm very casual, as you can see right now. I've got casual stuff, workout hair, just very casual. This isn't a super professional, like, what do I want to call it? This is just hang out on the couch type conversation with your best friend. So as I begin to talk about this, you're probably going to wonder, like, well, what is this girl really talking about? And I am making this presentation, if you will, about how being mindful of your health and your fitness can really impact your life in every single area, not just your health and not just your fitness, but everything from your emotional, your mental, physical, everything that is about you and how it can benefit you. And you might see my little one running around behind there. Don't worry, my mom is in there with her and my husband, so she's fine. But you might see them in the back. So I'm going to get started. My name is Kyla, and like I said, and I have been a fitness coach for about 1.5 years now. And my oldest child is 3 years old, and my youngest is 8 months. I'm originally from Southern Indiana, but I now live in the suburbs of Chicago, which I enjoy, but it does make me homesick for, the slower Indiana life sometimes. And so, how did I get started on all of this? Well, I'm going to get to that. The first thing that I want to touch on is I want to paint you a picture of who I was before I found health and fitness and before I found this coaching opportunity that really has changed me. And before all of this, I experienced a lifetime of depression and anxiety symptoms. I struggled with that from a very young age for as long as I can remember. And I always just thought that that was normal. I didn't realize that not every little kid went to school feeling anxious all day long and experienced the anxiety of being away from their parents. And I'm talking like a constant feeling of anxiety where your heart is racing and you are sweating and you are feeling like your mind is all over the place all the time. And going from that to feeling depressive symptoms as I became, in my teenage years, and literally just having these feelings of hopelessness and helplessness. And you never really realized that that was not typical. That was not a normal thing that a human should be feeling on a daily basis. and I never knew otherwise. So I was a bigger kid. As a small girl, I was just always a little chunkier. I loved to read. I was a bookworm. So my mom, tells the story about how there was this love seat that we had, and I would just kick up my feet and I would sit in that chair and I would read for hours. I wasn't the type of person that wanted to go outside and run around and do sports, and that just wasn't me. So a lot of inactivity as a kid, and coupled that with being predisposed for mood disorders because of genetics and just because of my environment as a kid, it just is a recipe for a lot of things to happen. So hi, Addie, go back in there, honey. So one of the great things about what I do is that my kids know that they can access me. I don't lock them out of where I'm at. It makes things better for all of us. And yeah, so I do allow her to, if she needs something, she knows she can come get me. But anyway, as a kid, I didn't want to run around a lot. I wanted to sit and read and relax. And that was just part of, who I was. But it also started a life. I don't want to say a lifetime, but it started a lot of habits at a very young age. A lot of, junk eating and binge eating while sitting and reading and not doing a lot of moving, not a lot of exercise. So then that makes it worse, because the more inactive you are, the more likely you are to have anxiety and you are to have depression. So it just was a vicious cycle that I got caught in at a very young age. And then I'm moving on to high school, and the pressures of, junior high and high school and wanting to fit in with the other girls. I wanted to lose weight, and I didn't really know how to do that in a healthy way. So I approached it in the most common sense way possible, which was to limit what I ate. And so, that was calorie counting. That was very restrictive. It wasn't about being mindful of my health. It was just about, can I fit into these jeans? Or, am I skinny? Like, if I turn sideways, are there no pooches? Or there no belly bumps? Stuff like that. So, growing up like that, and then in high school, and then, leading up to college, just always kind of struggling with my weight and not knowing exactly what the answer was for, being super healthy. I went through a really bad time where I was binge drinking, and I was just acting out, just kind of dealing with all this stuff that I had bottled inside for years and years and years. So I started, calorie restrictive dieting, and I didn't know it at the time, but I started having anxiety attacks. I didn't realize what it was. It was just, I didn't know what it was, but they were anxiety attacks. I started having those. My depression got worse. So then I would binge drink more, and then it would just make things worse again. And it was just a cycle that kept going and going and going. And it wasn't until right before I got pregnant with my daughter, that I finally found the healthier way, the right way to be mindful of your health and your weight. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. My relationship with fitness at that point was, I worked out more so as punishment for myself. Like, I would get really upset about things, and then I would go to the gym for 2 hours, and I would just excessively work out. And that's not healthy. That's not right way. That's not how you should be taking your fitness. It should be something you should be doing to, promote your health and to promote your happiness, not something you do because, you feel like you're going to punch through a wall. So you're going to go, to the gym instead. And I mean, it's better to go to the gym, obviously, than that, but you catch my drift of the kind of mental state that I was in. And, spending, 4.5 years in college feeling like this, it wears a person down, and it's not a good quality of life at all. And to say that you've spent years experiencing that, to me, is like, oh my gosh, how did I spend so much time feeling such depression and never knowing really how to handle it? I went on medication, I went to therapy, and that did help. I had a counselor, and I had a great doctor, and I had some people that I really could lean on and that helped me through from the scientific standpoint, but from the standpoint of really retraining my mind on what was the right way to go about this, you know, that I just didn't have. So that takes me into right before I got pregnant with my daughter, who's now a little over 3 years old. I found a book. I was trying to lose weight. Okay. And at this time I was, I was having Starbucks every single day. I was working in retail management. So we're talking like 50, 60-hour weeks on my feet, moving around. I was drinking energy drinks 1, 2, sometimes 3 times a day. I mean, this was not a good lifestyle for me. This was just, I was busy, and I thought that's what was good, because I thought busy meant productive. And, I was working 60 hours a week, and, so that must mean that I, had made it. I graduated college and I got a job, and, that's what you're supposed to do, right? But anyway, so again, here I was struggling with my weight, I wanted to lose some weight that I had put on. And so I stumbled across this book at a Barnes & Noble called Skinny Bitch. I don't know if you guys may have read it. It's a pretty popular book. But anyway, the authors of this book talk about the meat industry a lot, and about what goes into basically the buying and selling of meat, and how it's slaughtered, and basically scares you into being a vegetarian. So I read it, and I was so disgusted and like so traumatized that I went vegan for 3 months, a completely vegan, like 150%. I just went the whole opposite direction, and I had been raised in a family of meat eaters. So it was really interesting, doing that. I had to get creative, and I had to really like develop a new relationship with food, because it's not about eating for enjoyment so much. When you make a switch like that, you really have to find how to enjoy your food, but it's to nourish your body, and what's going to give you the most fuel, and what's going to treat your body the best. And what I found was, when I did that, not only did I feel better, but I was more mentally aware, and I just had this overall better sense of who I was. So I felt so good. I took myself off of my anxiety medication at that time. And so, going from somebody who ate fast food and Monster energy drinks and Red Bull, and then I went vegan, it was a huge jump. But for me, that whatever that was, it helped a lot. So I went off of my anxiety medication, and then I got pregnant with my daughter, and it was a great thing for me, because that suddenly gave my life more purpose, and I was all about it. I wanted to be the best mom I could possibly be. So I'm researching all these different parenting styles, and, really just finding myself and who I was as a mom. And so then, I had her, and I was all about breastfeeding, and I was about attachment parenting and keeping her close, and, skin on skin, and really just all about it, all about the bonding experience. And because I was breastfeeding her, I wanted to be very mindful of, what I ate, and what I put in my body. So then again, I went to, I wasn't vegan anymore, because when I got pregnant with her, the first thing I wanted was a cheeseburger, obviously. And but I still was mindful about what I ate. I was still on that, healthy and clean eating. I was still trying to be mindful of that. So I, continued on that path. I would research all these different recipes, and I would go to the grocery store and get like all these crazy vegetables and spend $300 on food. And it was just crazy, but it is what started me into the meat of what I'm going to talk about. And that is really how your health and your fitness can change your life in every area, not just your weight, not just how you look. So I want to fast forward it to, I had been exercising with a mom's group locally where I live, and it was great, and I felt good. But I still didn't have a complete handle on the nutrition. I was trying to lose all the baby weight. I was like 5 or 6 pounds away, and I just like couldn't get it to come off. And I was still feeling a little insecure, that after your first baby, you're like, gosh, this is so different. My body feels so different. And you're having that, like, that 4th trimester of pregnancy that they talk about, where you're like, who the hell am I? like, I'm a mom, but what is it that I'm doing? And for me, I had tried to go back to work, and I tried to go back to retail, and it just didn't work out. And I was like, I can't do this. I can't be away from her. And, with my husband having the schedule that he has, and then being away from family, it was just too much for me. So I left that with a little bit of a sad feeling of like, okay, like, I just don't have anything for myself. I don't have anything that makes me feel like fulfilled. Being a mom, of course, makes me feel fulfilled, but I want something like that's just something different, something that's going to make me feel like alive and like an adult, because sometimes spending time with the kid all day, it's really hard to feel like that. So the first thing that happened was when I had the opportunity presented to me by my mentor. I was really excited. I was first attracted to the business aspect of it because I was like, oh my gosh, this is the perfect avenue for me. I need something for myself. I need something that's going to make me feel like, I have a job, right? And of course, a lot of times when you sign up for things, or you're trying to find information, you get all these stories about these like huge financial success stories. And those are important, and finances are important, but it's not the most important thing to me. The most important thing is the quality of life that I have. And so I signed up to be a fitness coach, and I really, dove all in. I researched all about clean eating. I learned all about clean eating. I learned about, the kind of fitness. I researched everything. I tried so many different ways of working out, and I really just dug into it and looked at it from a standpoint of, okay, if this can make me feel better, not just, my weight, not just lose this baby weight, but makes me feel better as a person. And I wake up in the morning and I feel like I have a purpose, and I feel like, even though I am taking care of, kids, there's still something else that I'm doing too. I'm making a difference in the world. I'm doing something good, and I'm paying it forward. So the first thing that I learned after becoming a coach was how important it is to develop yourself. And when you're somebody who struggles from any kind of mood disorder, this can be really hard to tackle. But this is by far the number one thing that holds us back, is the inability to be able to look inward and say, okay, like, what can I do to better myself? How can I be a better person? And how can I change myself to be better? Because a lot of times we go from a self-loathing state of, oh my gosh, I am a failure, I'm terrible at everything, to, well, it's my parents' fault that I am like this, or it's, this ex's fault that I'm like this, or it's this fault, or, if only I had more money, or if only, and we go through this blaming stage of, all these other reasons. And that's a defense mechanism. You're not abnormal because you do that. It's a defense mechanism to try for us as humans to compensate for why we are not getting what we want. And it helps us. It does. But it doesn't help us get what we want. It just helps soothe us for the moment. You can call it a momentary pacifier, if you will. So that was the biggest thing that I learned when I signed up to be a coach, because all of a sudden they were talking about, oh, you have to do personal development. You have to read and work on yourself. And for me, it was kind of like, well, I don't need that. Like, what are you talking about? So I started to read, personal development books every day, things about time management and how to manage your time, and how to prioritize your life, and how to take the little things and, make big things out of them. And I read a book called The Compound Effect, and the synopsis is, every small thing you do every single day snowballs into something big. So master the small things and do them well, and do them every single day, like work out and like drink lots of water, and make these seemingly small decisions, but over time it impacts into a big result. So when I learned that I needed to start looking inward and not playing the blame game, and not blaming my childhood and blaming my past and blaming everyone else for why my life wasn't what I wanted, then I realized that I was unstoppable. That when you realize that you are your biggest obstacle, you can get out of your own way. So I became obviously more health conscious, right? It wasn't just about losing weight anymore. It was about being a fit person. And I mean emotionally fit and mentally fit and financially fit, and learning about how to really take control of your entire life in a way that propels you forward, so that you don't have to be like, oh my gosh, I hate my job, or, spending time doing things that aren't important to you, but you do them just because you think you need to. How many of us do that? I know I used to do that. So in becoming more health conscious and becoming, more focused on this healthy lifestyle, I felt more empowered and more motivated. I would wake up and feel like I was awake and like, okay, I was put on this planet to do something, and I finally feel like I know what that purpose is, and I know what the plan is. I know what the plan is for my life. And then, as many of you know, I struggled with postpartum depression very, very badly after my first pregnancy. It was so bad, there were days where I literally could not get out of bed. And after I found the coaching opportunity and dove into this healthy lifestyle, I did not experience that again. I haven't had that since. And it's been over a year since I started this journey, and I've not experienced it. I've battled with, some, but if you're somebody that has it chronically, you're probably going to. But to say that you've not experienced it to that level, I mean, that's a huge success in my opinion. For me to say that I haven't experienced that bad of a bout of depression in over a year and a half speaks for itself. It's because this lifestyle, this health conscious, if you want to call it that, this lifestyle of being fit, it really does change you. So I overcame postpartum depression with my first pregnancy, and I felt amazing. I felt great. I was working out every day, and I was eating well, and I was enjoying my life again. I felt like for the first time, really, I was enjoying being a mom. I wasn't depressed, and I wasn't anxious. I was just enjoying it. So then I got pregnant with my son, and I had a much better pregnancy with him because, for one, I already felt comfortable. I wasn't as insecure anymore. I wasn't as insecure anymore. And I really embraced that. And I embraced fitness while being pregnant, and, paying it forward and really being able to help other people and other women on their health journey too. I mean, that to me it's invaluable. And that's, one of my favorite parts of what I do. So then after I had my son, I actually, I experienced this, I felt like an upward climb for a little bit right after I had him, and then it dipped again, and I had some depression. And again, it was as soon as I recommitted to my fitness, I started working out 4 weeks postpartum because I was like, I'm not having this. I am going to, excuse me, I am going to feel better. So I started exercising moderately with the okay from my doctor at 4 weeks postpartum. And it was the best decision. And I recommitted to my nutrition and really got back on the right track again. So why, you might say, well, what does this have to do with me? What does this have to do with my story? And what it has to do with it is that you might have found bits and pieces of, my story, and oh, me too, or oh, I know someone who's been through that, or I felt that way before, and oh my gosh, that's exactly how I feel right now. You might be saying that or thinking that to yourself. And the big thing is that the number one thing I do as a coach is I share my story with other people. And it's not just about fitness. Excuse me. And it's not just about workouts and P90X and, Turbo Fire and Insanity. Although those are all great. And that's part of it. But it's really about sharing that story with other people and letting them know that they're not alone. Because one of the biggest things as humans is that we want is to feel togetherness and to feel loved and to feel like we matter. It is by far one of the biggest things that we as people want. We want to feel like we matter. And so your story can in turn inspire someone else. Since I became a coach, I have paid it forward and helped other people. I have had 8 other coaches sign on to do this journey with me. And I have a customer list so long of people that have, either tried a free membership, or they've tried a program, or they've done a challenge pack. And, it's not about, oh, hey, like I lost 6 pounds, or, oh my gosh, I lost 20 pounds. Those things are important. But what is the most important is the things that come after that. The things that come after the weight loss. The things like feeling better and feeling happy and being able to keep up with your kids and run after them. And being able to enjoy your time with your spouse and appreciate life and to feel like you're living your life and not just kind of floating through it. Those things are the most important thing. And that's why, your story does matter, because you may not feel like it has any significance and you may not feel like it's any big deal, but you don't know, by sharing what you're going through, it may affect one person, 2 people. And if it just affects one person and gives them courage and gives them motivation, then isn't that worth it? I had a girl come to me recently and tell me that and this girl I've invited to, several challenge groups, and we've talked and I've gotten to know her over social media. Never actually met her in person. And she told me one time that because of me sharing my story, that she felt like she could get emotional healing from her past and from, some similar things that she had been through. And then it made her feel like her life did matter. And that's huge. That's your story does matter, because it may be uneventful to you, but to somebody else, it may be just what they need to hear to get them through the day. It may be just what they need to decide that, their life does matter and they don't feel like they don't want to live anymore. A lot of people struggle with thoughts of not wanting to live anymore, unfortunately, more people than we want to admit. And if your story can just touch one of those people, then it's completely worth it. So what does this have to do? I want to kind of bring this full circle. So my role as a coach isn't about, selling things or about, trying to get everybody to try a certain fitness program. What I do is I teach people that their story matters. I teach people how to share their story, and I teach people how to write their story, because that's the best part, is picking up the pen and writing it, is trying something that you haven't tried before, overcoming an illness. I have a coach who has struggled with Hashimoto's, and she looked sickly her whole life, and she could never gain weight, and she could never get control of her metabolism, and had all these issues. And she started working out, and she started paying attention to her health, and she experienced a complete 180, and then started sharing that with other people, and then started finding that there were other people going through it too. And so it's not just about the latest workout program, although workouts are great. Workouts are so important. It's part of what makes us healthy. We need to be active people, but it's not the only thing. It's not the only thing that makes a difference in our life. It's our story. It's something about you. It's everything from what you've been through to your nail polish to your favorite hairstyle. It's you. That is your story. And if you think that, if you have even the slightest bit of interest in bettering yourself and your future and your family's future, then you can do this. Then this opportunity is for you. It's not just for people who want to be all business and make tons of money. This is for people who not only want to share their story, but they want to teach other people how to write their story and have a happy ending. So that is essentially the meat of what I do, right? My role is focused on working out every day, eating well, reading my personal development and making sure that I'm, staying humble and reflective on myself, and then sharing my story to inspire someone else. And that's really the essence of what a coach does. There are different ways to do lots of, the different ways to do it, but that's the essence of what every single coach does. And we all share our story so that we can inspire somebody else out there who doesn't have the inspiration and they need it. They are praying for that inspiration to come. And it could be you. It could be you and your story. So this is for you if you want to share your story with other people and you want to take more control over your own life and make a difference. And the last thing I want to say before ending is, in order to experience a true makeover, you really have to start from the inside. And coaching has done that for me. And while a lot of people may think it has all to do with external and what you look like on the outside, it's actually about what you do on the inside that matters. Thank you, guys.